Welcome back, my gentle people. This is Corner Stories with your daily serving of relationship stories. So let's get into it. Just ask the reserved guy I like out. I'm a pretty outgoing lady. I've never been afraid to make the first move. I've been flirting with a coworker of mine for about a month. I kept dropping hints, like lobbing watermelons kind of hints. He was sweet and flirtatious in his own way, but any kind of verbal flirt was never the response. He's the kind of guy who keeps to himself most of the time, but when he does speak he's so freaking funny and you don't expect it. He likes dad jokes and so do I. So I started meeting him at his speed. I asked for his number to send him silly memes. After exchanges of memes for a couple weeks, convos actually began, but then I still couldn't get him to take the hint of asking me out or being any more flirtatious than he was. I figured maybe he was just nervous of overstepping. So like the confident woman I am, I finally just told him if I was being honest I found him quite cute and might he be interested, via text. He didn't respond for a while, so I joked if it was a swing and a miss. To my surprise he said no, he's just not very good at this and never knows what to say and gets stuck in his own head, but that he thought I was cute too. The honesty. So I took the initiative and asked him to lunch, naming the time and place, and he was thrilled. Ladies, if you know you got the guts and he's a quieter fella, edit, or just a guy worried about making the first move, take the lead. Ask him. Be direct and specific with your intentions. It pays off. I got me a cute lunch date in the park, edit. Just for the record, he did flirt back with me, as stated, just more subtle lol. I was just trying to get the ask out. He's quiet, and wasn't sure of himself, so I asked. No big. People out here are crazy because they think he wasn't responding and I was being desperate. Dude just needed permission to be more engaging than he was. Now he's messaging me non-stop and talking about what to have for lunch with me. Update, date went really well, we laughed together the whole time and got to know each other a bit more. He said in hindsight he could see I was flirting, but he's really bad with hints and can't be too careful at work, so didn't want to assume. He said he was glad I asked him out and asked if I would like to do this again soon. Can't wait. The kind of hints OP gave, I complimented his hair and eyes and the fact that he's crazy strong. I started grabbing his hands a lot. What's that mark on your hand? You okay? I'm gonna draw something on your finger lol, how big are your hands compared to mine, etc. When he started to be more playful, poking fun at me, I poked fun back and some of it turned into innuendos. He laughed and found them funny but missed that they were completely in his direction. I used to play rugby, so I'd joke that I could take him and challenge him to a tackle-off in the lot. He accepted actually, and we ended up with a very playful rugby maul back and forth until I fell over lol. I thought maybe that would actually seal it, BC. It was followed by a good beaming laugh together. Sent him a pic of myself to show him my hair from a few years back, but the pic was me in a short sexy sweater dress all glammed up, showing off a little leg. Things like that. Update, 8 months after. So back in April I asked my coworker out. Flirted for about a month or so. Feel free to check my history if you're new or need a refresher. I tried everything I've done in the past that has successfully worked. He wasn't registering any of my hints, so I flat out told him I thought he was cute and was wondering if he would like to do lunch in the park with me. We met for lunch, had a nice time and agreed to do it again. Come to find out, at 28 years old, he really had never had an official girlfriend before and just kind of kept to himself. He told me he'd been on a couple dates but they never went anywhere, and while he wanted to be a more sociable person he wasn't very much, and he worked a lot and he also didn't want to assume when we were at work, which is fair. It is now 8 months later. After 1 month of dating he nervously asked me if I would officially be his girlfriend. I said yes. We both love brunch, so we do that a lot when we need an us day. Westerted going to the gym together. We both found our motivational partner in each other to encourage us when the other isn't feeling it that morning. We have gone on several adventures, tubing, beach weekend, Renaissance fair, camping, Halloween party, and we have so many holiday plans. He's the sweetest sentimental soul and has made us photo collages of some of his favorite dates, which reminds me of my grandfather and how he was the one who captured every moment in my grandparents' photo albums. After 3-4 months we exchanged I love yous, which he waited to do because I did. Because I have trauma. So he waited for me to be ready. I needed that. It make us both a well-balanced dinner for work, and he bought us bento boxes as lunchboxes out of appreciation. And he does the dishes when I cook dinner for us at our places. So important. We communicate so well. He is so open to discussing anything and everything from little things to serious life things, even if it's hard, and it is amazing. We agree politically, religiously, financially, and he is just as silly as I am humor-wise. He's patient and understanding with my health conditions and never makes me feel less than a queen, which for me is important because I've always been made to feel like a burden by others in my past over this. He hypes up my art and I hype up his craftsmanship. There's so much that he provides that I have never gotten before. I am so glad to have him in my life. I didn't know what to expect going in, only that he was cute and nice, and he is honestly everything I've been looking for. Side note, creating a post in a different subgroup to be exclusively rude about someone BC or skeptical of their story is not nice. MK. Spread love, not hate. Hope you all find your king-queen royalty someday. Have a lovely day and know that you are worthy of love. Story 2. My coworker tickled another coworker, and now there is chaos. My company has had a relatively informal, somewhat relaxed working environment in the past, where colleagues generally got along well and we had a decent time together, even while working hard. Unfortunately, that balance has recently been upended in department I work in. 2 weeks ago, my coworker, Rachel, kicked the power strip under the desk in her cubicle, so she slipped off her heels and crawled under to pop it back in. The young woman in the cubicle behind her, Monica, had a serious lapse in judgment at this point. She knelt down and slipped an arm around Rachel's ankles when she was vulnerable and began tickling her feet. It was an unusual moment, to say the least, and reactions ranged from amusement to mild horror. If you asked Monica, she would say she only had a light hold to avoid getting kicked during a playful moment that went too far. If you asked Rachel, she'd say she was rendered largely immobile and humiliated. I didn't have the best view, but it looked to me as though reality was closer to Rachel's side. Our manager, Phoebe, rushed in after several seconds of laughing, shouting to break it up. It was a good thing she was there, because I thought for sure that Rachel was going to slug Monica otherwise. Phoebe walked Monica to HR, and we wondered if Monica was done for. Apparently, they allowed her to remain with the company, but told her she'd be dismissed if she put one toe out of line. Heh. I don't know the details, but I do know that Rachel was furious that the girl wasn't fired. Since that point, she has done everything she can to make Monica so unhappy that she feels compelled to quit, from passive-aggressive emails, to trying to rally coworkers to petition management to let her go, to bringing up the incident, as it's come to be called, at every available opportunity. As a result, Rachel is becoming difficult to work with, and Monica is becoming a basket case. It's gotten to the point where yesterday, I talked to Monica because I felt sorry for her. I'd heard her crying in the ladies' room that morning, only to have Rachel snarl at me later for trying to be friendly. I'm fairly certain that Phoebe knows what's happening, but is hesitant to address the issue with Rachel since she was the original victim. Phoebe is also rather hands-off in management style, so that isn't helping the situation. The environment is becoming increasingly uncomfortable, and our department being split on whether Monica should have been let go from the start hasn't helped, and I can sense people starting to take sides. Any advice would be appreciated. Update. First and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time to craft a thoughtful response to my letter. Monica, the tickler, left the company last week. I don't know all the details, but I reached out and she said that she and management came to an understanding, but wouldn't say more, and I didn't push. She was a middle child in a large family that showed a lot of physical affection, and tickling wasn't something vicious or mean as far as she was concerned, and it was probably that background that contributed to her lack of judgment. I won't make excuses for her actions, but I really feel bad for her and hope she finds another position and that she can learn from her mistake instead of being punished for it further. She is clearly an extrovert, and feeling cut off from people and caught in an atmosphere of hostility and isolation really affected her, though how much pressure was from Rachel and how much, if any, came from higher-ups, I couldn't say. I offered to have coffee and catch up, and if she takes me up on that, I might have more info in the future. As for Rachel, once Monica was gone, some of my coworkers expected her to gloat or strut around, but she's been awfully subdued. She doesn't talk much about anything except work, even inconsequential things. Perhaps that will change, but it's as if she didn't know how to react once she got what she wanted. As far as I know, our manager never confronted her, though I won't swear to that. Things seem to be getting back to normal, otherwise. Our boss brought some treats, and we did a couple of fun group exercises, and people have relaxed a bit. Still, I'm wary of how quickly things can get deeply uncomfortable. Thank you again for your time and your advice. Story 3. Entitled Coworker tries to schedule meetings outside of contract time and criticizes my non-work plans. I have a coworker who is really disorganized and waits until the last minute to schedule things, and so that frequently means calling a meeting at 4 o'clock on a Friday. For reference, my 8-hour workday ends at 3 o'clock, so these meetings make for 10-hour-plus days, and because the coworker is so disorganized and unprepared, we frequently have to cover things that they should have done ahead of time, like creating an agenda or desired outcome, at the actual meeting. Because these are required meetings, usually only once or twice a month, I have to go to them no matter when they're scheduled, and get extended pay for working overtime, but my coworker is supposed to give at least a week's notice, and I'd definitely rather have the free time than the money. Typically, if I don't hear by Thursday afternoon that they have scheduled the meeting for 4 o'clock on a Friday, I make other weekend plans, like hiking or bicycling or going out somewhere. Yesterday, Friday, the coworker attempted to schedule the meeting at 4:45, but didn't put it on my calendar until 3:05. I should have been off by then, but I had an end-of-day meeting that went over by a few minutes, so I was doing a last check of email and then shutting things down for the weekend. I saw the meeting request and responded that wasn't enough notice for a meeting that far outside the workday, and that I normally would not have even seen the notice until the following Monday, and CC'd my boss just so they knew I wasn't trying to shirk any duties. Of course, coworker is upset because they're required to hold the meeting by law and it's the absolute last day to do it without filing an extension, which they've been told by my boss they're not allowed to do unless there's extenuating circumstances, and they've known about it for 2 months, they just didn't plan for it. My boss calls at 3:10 saying, "Can you please do this now and end at 4:10 and we will address it on Monday." Fine. I was planning on leaving town, but I can leave a little bit later. Coworker responds to my boss by email and says they're using personal time between 3:10 and 4:45, so they can't hold the meeting until then, and that nothing I'm doing could possibly be important enough that I can't attend the meeting at 4:45. Boss calls coworker. Coworker confessed that their child's birthday party is at 6 that evening and that they have to go try to find a cake and party supplies for the party before the meeting, which is why they can't be available. Boss gets annoyed and says that boss and I, will do the meeting now and coworker will have to answer for it on Monday. Boss and I hold meeting, it takes 20 minutes, I'm out of there by 3:45. Coworker sends me a nastygram by text at 10:15 p.m. saying it's my fault they're in trouble and that they have a child, so I should understand that people with children come first, and that my hobbies are pathetic and it wouldn't have been that hard for me to just attend the meeting they scheduled, and that they'll have to go back and fix everything my boss and I did incorrectly because they like to do it a specific way. My boss had already submitted it. I responded that I hope they enjoyed their child's birthday party and to have a good weekend. They respond that they forgot to invite people so no one came, and thanks for rubbing that in their face. Update. I had a meeting yesterday with my boss regarding the meeting that boss and I had to do for coworker, and the rude text messages sent by coworker. My boss will be sharing extensive documentation with HR, including their own notes, and I have been asked to pull all of my calendared meetings from the last 6 months and send them to HR. I already had screenshotted them because I had to submit extended hours. Glad I did, because coworker tried to delete them, uninvited me from them when they caught wind that it was an issue of contention. My boss couldn't go into details obviously about their course of action with the coworker, but I do know their meeting with HR isn't until Thursday and their meeting with my boss was after mine yesterday, which was after my work day but not theirs. Another coworker sent me a text saying that coworker came out of the meeting with red puffy eyes that looked like they had been crying, but otherwise nothing juicy to report. As for next steps, the one course of action I do know is that coworker will be required to provide a written apology by Friday of this week, and it will get added to their personnel file. If my company follows their usual process, which my boss hinted at on Friday, coworker will basically be given the opportunity to resign from their current job and resume their old job, or they can be administratively removed from their current job and be placed in their old job. Their current job is an unfilled vacancy, to take place August 1st, but in the meantime they will no longer be in charge of the project I have had to work with them on, and our grant department will do it instead. I have not heard from coworker for the apology, but am expecting something vague and half-assed, probably by email at 11:59 on Friday, or what I expect is even more likely, they will put it off and claim they need the accommodation to not have to do it and drag it out with HR. Update. Apology received. Sorry for projecting my stress onto you, you didn't deserve to get lashed out at. It's been a rough year with the divorce and getting used to a new job. I am stepping down in August to take care of me and for a while. I'm sure that gossip is already spreading like wildfire. Thanks for putting up with me. Coworker. And that is the end of the story. That's it guys, this is where I will leave you. I hope you enjoyed the stories I had for you. I certainly enjoyed them. Please be sure to drop a like or a comment, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I will see you. Corner Stories signing off.